I have a question for Todd Phillips, Joker's writer and director.
Ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Joker Part Deux clearly exposed two motivations, redress and greed. But I wonder, did the film surrender or recover Mr. Phillips' soul at the Hotel California in the City of Angels? Joker Deux was restitution for the original's appeal to the irredeemable masses, and it enriched the person willing to execute its ruinous scheme, namely Mr. Phillips. The sequel will be a laughable disappointment for weeks. Then, in fulfillment of its blood-written contract, it will fade into the proverbial lake of fire and take its predecessor with it. Let us examine Phillips' lunatic waltz with Hollywood that incinerated his reputation and $200 million for reasons. Next.
That's life. That's what all the people say. You're right.
Welcome to Galactic Initiative. I'm your host, Jeff. Full disclosure, I felt Joker, the original, was okay. Most could empathize with its main character. Urban decay and social stratification turned a vulnerable man into a vengeful psychotic. The film captured the angst of people who feel neglected, ostracized, and abused by circumstances beyond their control. I appreciated its social commentary, but I disliked its heavy-handedness. Joker featured all the subtlety of a Zack Snyder film. As Arthur Fleck, Joaquin Phoenix elevated it to a level far beyond the sum of its parts. I like the Joker as a villain in Gotham City. The film clashed with my understandings, or conceptions, of the Clown Prince's origin in DC Comics films and series. To be fair, Phillips declared it wasn't part of the DC universe, and he omitted "the" as a critical article to distinguish Batman's arch-nemesis from his main character. Nevertheless, viewers connected Arthur Fleck with the Joker. Why wouldn't they? DC Films produced Joker with Warner Brothers. Phillips used obvious associations until the sequel's ending, when moviegoers learned Arthur wasn't the Joker, and they cried, "What was the point?" In hindsight, was Phillips' two-film arc worth the effort? No. But Phillips never intended a second film, and from my perspective, Joker Deux was conceived and produced as a failure. Joker's accomplishments surprised Hollywood and, by extension, the access media in league with Hollywood. Over $1 billion gross for a falling down story convinced many paragons of virtue in the hills overlooking Los Angeles that Joker was a dangerous film, because it glorified vengeance by the underprivileged. Well, we can't upset the social order with thoughts of anarchy now, can we? The access media dutifully attacked Joker's fans as degenerates. Articles and posts warned potential patrons that violence could erupt in theaters due to the presence of undesirables attracted by the film's depravity. Seriously, if you don't recall or weren't paying attention, search Joker Warnings of Violence and indulge in light reading. Its debut preceded the US presidential election by 1 month, so provocateurs attributed its craze to a certain political boogeyman in orange. It was an odd time. The Hollywood rags attacked a successful studio production instead of shilling for an unsuccessful studio production. Ultimately, their smear campaign backfired. As previously mentioned, audiences related to Arthur Fleck because he embodied their frustrations. After the election, in a joyful period for Hollywood, an odd turnaround occurred. Joker paranoia calmed, and Warner Brothers lauded its smash hit. The film received 11 Oscar nominations, and Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor for his portrayal of Arthur Fleck. Behind the scenes, Phillips' sins were neither forgiven nor forgotten. He publicly lamented backlash from Hollywood, the access media, and the Twitter mob. His home, upbringing, education, and previous projects suited the entertainment industry in Southern California, yet he found himself on the outside looking in. To remedy Hollywood's grievances and make a lucrative deal, he perverted everything in the original. For pity's sake, Joker Deux as a pseudo-musical with Lady Gaga. If those changes didn't spoil the punchline, I ask, what would have been more antithetical to the first installment? Joker Deux was Pink Floyd's The Wall without a fresh, applicable soundtrack. Honestly, the lonely half-crooning was remarkably grating. Phoenix could sing earlier in his career. Don't walk the line between commitment and repudiation. Pardon my pun. Have singing or have no singing. Have fanfare or have no fanfare. When Austin Powers unironically beats your musical numbers, how do you justify your concept? Phillips sacrificed his intense character study for a morose, indulgent variety show. The Shawshank Redemption and That's Entertainment in equal parts. Not a good formula. Zero rewatchability. No film expert necessary to predict fans of the first wouldn't be fans of the second. Arthur's deterioration, escalating indignities, and meaningless death addressed Hollywood's anxieties. Its paragons of virtue feared Arthur because they misunderstood him. Phillips knew they wanted a deconstruction of Arthur and a disavowal of nihilist power fantasies among the irredeemable masses. However, on their high horses, they couldn't see Arthur's significance. Then Phillips applied the Jake Skywalker treatment. Arthur wasn't an aspirational character. He was a cautionary tale. Joker didn't glorify violence. Life's affronts, whether social, professional, economic, or political, can push one over the edge. But anger and violence solve nothing. Joker Deux exists only to destroy Joker's legacy, not a beneficial outcome for anyone. Except, in the short term, Phillips, who, desirous of Hollywood's good graces, collected a huge paycheck in exchange for ruining his best film. Already, the Hollywood rags have isolated and blamed him.
He wanted complete control. His was the sole creative voice.
Does Joker Deux reflect a pretentious auteur or a decried apologizer? Warner Brothers offered a suspiciously large bankroll, 4 times the previous budget, which enticed Phillips and Phoenix and hinted at considerations other than profit. One could argue greed in defense of the studio. Phillips produced a billion-dollar film, so transfer funds and get out of his way. Possible. The Access Media is running with that take. But why would the studio give up its veto power? When Phillips said musical, someone at Warner Brothers must have had the authority to answer no. Why would Phillips forsake his initial vision? Why would a film without expensive visual and special effects cost $200 million? I've heard several reviewers praise the cinematography, but none of the production values impressed me. Joker Deux will lose money. Audience scores are very, very low. Most critics panned it despite Phillips' conciliatory efforts. Variety and The Hollywood Reporter use the verbs bomb and flop in their descriptions. So, was Joker Deux a subversion all along? I think so. Unfortunately, the joke's on ticket buyers. Without ulterior motives, no one of sound mind would have financed this film. Did WB and its investors prioritize message over quality? Were they willing to absorb the loss if it advanced their goals, specifically owning the chuds? Despite its contribution to his bottom line, Joker 2 harmed and will likely continue to harm Phillips. Though in the near future, a few bones will be thrown to him for his collaboration. He has compromised his artistic integrity and diminished his own reputation. They made him an offer he couldn't refuse, and he became a useful idiot for the Hotel California, as it wages culture war against its former customers. For his production of Joker Deux, I suspect Phillips will be roasted, but secretly toasted for his complicity, then excommunicated. Again. To Mr. Phillips, many will say,
Get what you deserve!
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Check out Galactic Initiative for honest takes on Star Wars and other IP.